Mr. Fahy, can you explain to me a little about the work that the call takers behind you carry out on your behalf and the unexpected burdens that they have to carry?
Yeah, in this room here, our staff are taking calls from the public, and where they require police action, converting them into incidents, which are then an officer is sent to. But what you'll find talking to these staff is a lot of frustration. A lot of it is what we would call repeat business. It is going to the same places, dealing with the same people, and a big part of their work really is related to wider social problems. It's very much not just about crime.
What kind of social problems do your officers have to deal with?
We think it's mainly related to drugs, alcohol, mental health, and what we would call relationships. It's people who have got all sorts of problems in their relationships. It may be domestic violence, it may be brother-sister, it may be ex-partners, but we find that's a big part of our work. And overall, we're finding we're just gathering more and more information about more and more people, having to carry out more risk assessments because they're vulnerable, and then we'll carry more responsibility in trying to protect them.
And have you got any examples for us?
Yeah, examples are things like we had a case with an elderly woman with Alzheimer's who was phoning us about 6 times a day, taking up a lot of our workload really, and that's an example about how we need to work closely with the health agencies to try and deal with that. But particularly, I know a lot of frustration here will be about children who regularly go missing from children's homes, people who walk out of hospitals that we then have to try and find and take back. A lot of it is, as I say, mental health cases where we come across a vulnerable person and then may have to spend a long time at the hospital waiting for the professional to decide whether that person can be admitted. So it's that sort of issue which often ties up officers in a lot of time. And, it can be a frustration because we just feel we're dealing with the same individual time and time again.
And is there a better way of doing it?
Yeah, we think that although there needs to be focus on things like how we can save money through things like better use of buildings and vehicles, the main part of the public spend is on a relatively small number of individuals, families and locations, and therefore if the agencies were funded and measured in a different way at a local level so that we could join up our effort against these problem individuals, problem families, we think that would be a more effective way of doing things at a time when I think all the agencies clearly are going to probably end up with reduced funding.
The Home Secretary and other politicians have repeated on many occasions recently that they're only interested in the police cutting crime and catching criminals. Do they misunderstand fundamentally a lot of the work that your officers do?
Cutting crime and arresting people is a big part of our work and always will be. But yes, we feel that politicians and the wider public don't often understand the reality of day-to-day police work, that so much of it is a form of social work. We are the service of last resort, and through this particular exercise of publicising all the incidents we deal with over a 24-hour period, is trying to give that picture of, as I say, a better picture of the type of workload that we are dealing with day in, day out.